Yay, math! All right, here we go. We're doing what's calling representing inequalities, and what that literally means is instead of just having numbers, we can have a verbal description or like graphing on a number line. So this is not a lot of new stuff. There's maybe 2 or 3 really new things here. A lot of it's going to be very obvious stuff you already know. But let's get started. Example 1. Who can say this expression for me? Austin. Y is less than 32. Now what I'm about to do is new. Since y is less than 32, is y going to be to the left or to the right of 32? So it's going to be to the left. Do we know exactly where? So what we'll do is we're going to write 32 on a number line, just generically. And we're going to draw an open circle. An open circle. And we're going to point an arrow. Can you guess which direction? To the left. Because y is going to be somewhere to the left. Okay? Y is less than 32. All right, so in example 2, does anybody know what this symbol means? Gabby. It means y is less than or equal to. That pin's not going to work. Okay? So, what's really different in this one is only this. We're still going to have 32. It's still less than and point to the left. What's different here is that the circle is filled in. That's a that's visually significant that it could also include 32. So let's just record what I just said. What difference do you notice between example 1 and example 2? Just very basically, what's the difference there? Jonathan? No, I want to know right here on these expressions, what do you see that's different? The line under the less than sign. And can somebody tell me what that means? What does that line means? Now here? It's less than means less than or equal to. And literally what that means is that it could include that number also as well. So looking at the number lines, how would you describe the difference in the graph on the number line in example 1 and example 2? Just to recap, what's the only difference there? It's the only difference there. Philip? The circle is closed or shaded, which means also could include the number. It's closed or shaded. That could also include the number. All right, let's do 3 and 4 together. Okay, y is blank than 32. Who's got that? Devin? Greater than. Y is greater than 32. So let's go over here to our number line. If y is greater than 32, is y going to be to the left or to the right of 32? to the right. Okay, so let's put our 32 here. And based on what you know from example 1 and 2, what kind of circle am I going to write? Class? Open. I'm going to make an open circle. And our arrow is going to point to the right. We don't know where it is, and that's why we don't need to put any other numbers on the number line, because it could be a million, and it would be really hard to draw a number line that included all that. You know, we don't want to limit our number line. Example 4. Who can say that for me? McGarity. Y is greater than or equal to 32. Okay? So, can somebody tell me what the difference in our number line is going to be? Or all of you think about the difference in the number line we're about to write? Elena? So it's shaded. Because, and why is it shaded again? Who can tell me why it's shaded again? Okay. Jonathan, why is it shaded? Because it also could be 32. It also could include 32. All right, so let's answer these questions. What difference do you notice from examples 1 and 2 compared to example 3 and 4? From example 1 and 2 to example 3 and 4, what's the difference? This is like very obvious. It's not, I'm maybe oversimplifying it. In the front over there. Okay, well, how did you know that though? One's less than, one's greater than, but how did you know that? It's not a trick question. It's that simple. Like, what made it less than or greater than? This is kind of going back to like when you first learned this. Go ahead. The symbols. They what? So let's say it's less than or greater than because the symbols open different directions, right? And that's it. That's all I wanted you to be able to notice. Over here it says, how would you describe the difference in the graph on the number line between example 1 and 2 and example 3 and 4? So what's the difference between these two and these two? Just real simply put, here in the front. One's greater and one's less, but how does that reflect on the number line? Like, what's the only difference? Well, there's, okay, what do you mean by that? Okay, which way the arrows point, right? One's going left and one's going right. So this is the answer to this is the direction the arrows point indicate less than, right, less than or greater than. Okay. All right, here we go. Moving down. Okay, so in this section, for these examples, these inequalities are called constraints because they have a limit on both ends. Because they have a limit on both ends. In other words, well, let's just look at one. So let's write a verbal description for this constraint? Who thinks they can say this? Tegan. Okay. Which is less than 30. And y is less than 30. Okay. So let's make a number line representation for this. What number is going to be on the left? 25. What number is going to be on the right? 30. We're going to connect those with what kind of circles do you think? Open. We're going to connect those with open circles. Okay? We don't know where exactly y lies between 25 and 30. We just know it's somewhere in there. What's new here compared to what we did above in example 1, 2, 3, and 4? What's new? Primavera, what's new? There's two numbers, okay? Two numbers, which means we have two circles, right? And in this one, there was an arrow, right? There's no arrow in this one. Okay. Example 6. Who can say that one for me? Who can say that one? It's the same hands every time. Zoe. $30 is greater than y, which is, or and, y is greater than 25. All right, so on the number line, what number is going to be on the left? This might be a trick question. This might be a trick question. Go ahead. And you're saying that because the verbal description started with 30, right? But in a number line, which numbers are always on the left? The smaller number, the less number, right? So we're going to, again, there's a little bit of a trick question. 25 is here. 30 is here. And so they're both open because it wasn't or equal to. So what's new here? The verbal was different, but why was the verbal different? Think about why did we say the verbal different this time? Okay, the symbols changed the way that looked, but the number line looks exactly the same. So did the meaning change? No, the meaning didn't change because the number line's obviously the same. The verbal is different because the symbols were different. And why were the symbols different? Austin? The numbers were switched just because they were in a different order. That's like saying, Caleb has more than me, but I have less than Caleb. I didn't say anything different there, right? I just said it in a different order using a different word. Okay? All right, moving on. Example 7. Who can take that one on? Let me give one of Mrs. Ford's students. Jasmine, can you do that? Give it a try. Okay. Okay, 25 is less than or equal to 30, but there's something in between there, right? What was in there? What was in between?